Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and Dog TV.
Hey, Chris, what do you have planned for the July 4th holiday?
We're actually going to be visiting some family over in Chicago. It's sort of become a de facto tradition, which is really nice. I get to see a lot of my wife's family over there, enjoy some time in the pool, grill up some cured meats and other exciting stuff. Maybe have a cocktail or two. Who knows? Yeah, some brats, some hot dogs. I love a hot dog. It's completely underrated food. Yeah,
you gotta have hot dogs.
You gotta have a hot dog on the 4th of July.
At the baseball field and on the 4th of July. Those are hot dog days for sure.
Because America.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because America.
Get this. So I just discovered that we have a lake in our little mountain town here in Waynesville, and it's called Lake Junaluska. And I just found out that on the 4th of July, people decorate their kayaks and their stand-up paddleboards like with flying flags, and they like just tool around the lake. So I don't have a kayak, but I was on Facebook Marketplace this morning, and I think I found a really good deal.
That's amazing.
So,
yeah.
I want to be on the lake with my flags flying.
We all are expecting pictures. But the other side of 4th of July, of course, is that it is the number one day that animals are lost because they panic over the fireworks. So we have an episode today dedicated to helping us keep track of our pets, learn more about their behavior, and some safety tips for the 4th of July. So welcome, everybody. If you've made it this far, I'm sure you're a fan of the show. This is the PAL Podcast with Chris and Kristen. We're going to be bringing you two great stories, two lovely guests, two wonderful products, and then we're going to answer two of your questions. So without further ado, let's get right into story time.
Kristen and Chris present Story Time.
All right, Chris, why don't you give us your story first?
Yeah, so this is an international story here, which I know we've got largely a U.S. Audience, but I think this is a story that is going to interest a lot of our cat owners. So over in the U.K. across the pond, they have just passed legislation that all domesticated cats must be microchipped and entered into a database.
Wow.
So that is a serious change in legislation. That's obviously splitting, as all political decisions do, is obviously splitting the populace over there. But the purpose of that is that there's been a major stray problem in England. And this is to basically hold owners accountable, as well as help people keep track of their outdoor cats that are getting more and more lost and not able to find their way. So the process is quite simple. When you bring your cat into the vet for the first time, they're basically going to do this by default, including things like, when they get spayed and neutered. It's going to help. Basically, they said that their version of the ASPCA is the RSPCA, said that more than 7,500 abandoned cats were reported to charity in England alone last year. So that's 7,500 cats that likely a percentage of them could have been refound to their original homes if there was a better way to track them. So this is to help the cats, it's to help the owners reunite with their cats. And I think a lot of people just don't appreciate how simple some of this tracking technology is with modern tech.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a pretty smart move. I think, we have Lorien on the show a little bit later. We're going to get into deeper discussion on pet identification. I think microchipping is really smart, but actually there's an even smarter way to identify your pet. So we're going to hear more about that later. But yeah, it's such a simple problem to solve, and yet we haven't solved it yet. So we're getting there, though.
Yep, slowly but surely.
All right, my story is more for dogs, and I think this is kind of a summer fun story. I got the idea for this when my husband and I went to Dairy Queen the other day.
Okay. Did they turn your Blizzard upside down?
No, they didn't. But I forgot about that.
Very sad.
I'd love to do that. But we had Tulip with us. And so we went through the drive-thru, and I ordered my peanut butter parfait, and Paul got his, I think he gets the Oreo Blizzard. And I asked for an empty little cup because I was going to take just a little bit of vanilla ice cream and put it in a cup for Tulip. So we get up to the window to pick up our order, and the guy inside said, "Oh, I didn't know you had a dog with you. You know, we have Dairy Queen pup cups." Oh. I didn't know that. Now, I think everybody's aware of the Starbucks Puppuccino.
Yep.
But this made me think, I wonder what other fast food chains, ice cream shops have a specific pet treat or pet menu. And you'd be surprised. There's like 15 of them that I bet you didn't know offer either a pet menu or a special pet treat. And I just thought I'd share some of those with our audience in case you're out and about with your dogs in the car. So I've never heard of this one, Sprinkles. Apparently it's a cupcake place, and they offer a doggy cupcake, like specially made ingredients. So, there's no sugar.
That's so cute.
Dunkin' Donuts has a puppy latte. The Shake Shack has a Puccini. Ben and Jerry's finally came out with a dog ice cream just for dogs. Johnny Rockets has a dog menu, and In-N-Out Burger offers a pup patty. So I think that's probably the dog's favorite.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Tulip would definitely choose a pup patty over an ice cream. PDQ has grilled chicken tenders for dogs, and Chick-fil-A will offer you a dog biscuit if you simply ask. So, but yeah, check
awesome.
out it's at tasteofhome.com if you want to see all 15 fast food secret dog menus.
That's great. We have a local ice cream shop that has dog ice cream, and it's very funny because there's now a big disclaimer next to it that basically says these are for dogs. It will not taste good to you. If you order, I know you want peanut butter ice cream, but we only have it for dogs. And if you order the peanut butter dog ice cream, it is not going to taste like ice cream because there's no sugar. That's really the big difference is the fat content and then the sugar. So
right. So taste at your own risk if you must.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
Today on Pets Add Life, we're thrilled to welcome Arden Moore. She's a renowned pet expert, author of 26 books and counting, and the host of 2 shows, Four-Legged Life and the O Behave podcast. Arden is a certified first aid instructor for pets and has dedicated her entire career to educating pet owners about how to keep their furry friends safe and happy. And so with the 4th of July just around the corner in a couple of days, Arden's going to share some essential safety tips for us to ensure our dogs stay calm and protected, and cats too, during the holiday. Welcome to the show, Arden.
Hey, pause up, Kristen. Nice to see you again. I love dog TV.
Hello.
And this is pet safety dog, Kona.
Pause up, Kona.
It's always great when we have a guest who's willing to parade their animals out in front of us because it's the most exciting part of my day.
Arden always
she's more talented than any of us.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's certainly more talented than I am.
And Casey and Kona always join Arden in her interviews, and she always brings really cool props too. So Arden, like there's so much we could talk to you about, but why don't we just start with, since 4th of July is in 2 days, can you give us some safety tips for both our cat and dog critters as we lead up to the big holiday?
Absolutely. We want to celebrate with a bang, but unfortunately for our dogs and cats who hear so much better than we do, this is not on their bucket list of favorite holidays because of the sheer noise. It's unexpected. It could, they'd be sleeping and all of a sudden, boom, 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 and they don't know what's going on. So fortunately, we need to keep these pets inside in a cozy room that is blocking the noise of the fireworks. Do not take your dog just because you'd like to wear them in a red, white, and blue celebratory outfit to a 4th of July fireworks. They can bolt off their leash, their harness, and panic. Let them stay home. Turn on some dog TV. Do something. Give them keep busy toys that work their noodle and distract them. But please understand, noise phobia is a big deal, and some pets can really panic.
That's so true. We were talking about at the top of the show how, animal shelters say that the day after the 4th is the busiest day of the year because so many lost pets who have panicked on the 4th of July, or it doesn't have to even be on the 4th because, as you know, people start sending out fireworks, the whole week before. So
I live in Texas. Trust me, it's a whole big celebration.
So it's more like a week-long celebration there. Yeah.
Well, the big key too is ID tags. Kona, come here, Kona, come on. Kona has her collar, and it's embroidered with her name and myself.
Oh, smart.
Which is very nice, rather than trying to look at a dog's ID this way, and then you lose your nose.
And also the metallic tags they wear, and if you don't get them changed every couple of years, you'll actually not be able to read it anymore.
So if you do have one of those, spin it around to the back and look at it from the back, because the mouth is there and you're here. But also make sure your pet is got a microchip ID. We ended up getting our little dog Emma during COVID. She had been dumped out, no ID, no microchip, full of heartworms. But come here, Emma. The little one here says, I have an ID and I have a microchip. I am a member of Arden's family.
That's right.
That's so adorable.
That's right. Well, let's talk about cats. We tend to gloss over kitty cats when we talk about July 4th safety. So cats don't appreciate the loud noises either.
About that. Well,
okay.
That's so adorable.
Pet safety cat Casey. He goes, I'm an indoor boy, but I have a microchip. I have an ID, and Arden's keeping me safe in our back bedroom he actually likes dogs, so he's watching dog TV during the 4th of July.
That's nice.
You just got to realize they can hide in tiny, tiny, tiny places, behind your fridge, under your couch. So I say put them in a room that's safe, that you can find them. And they like keep busy toys too. They like food puzzles, so give them something to do when the bang, bang, bang is going on.
Is there any credence, Arden, to giving your cat a good place to hide? Like putting like a couple of cardboard boxes in the room so that they don't go under the furniture where it might be a little more dangerous?
Yeah, exactly, Chris. Kitties like, if I sense it fits. So all those boxes you get from different delivery companies, make a little fort for them. Put a little blanket in them, and they think lights out, nobody can find them. They do like to go into little comfy cubby holes. Just make the cubby hole safe.
Right.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
And Arden, the bang, bang, bang is not the only danger to pets around the 4th of July, right? We've got
two
barbecue.
Things. We want to have a cookout, and we're going to have corn on the cob. And I got to tell you guys, corn on the cob. The cob does not digest in the belly of a dog or a cat. It's salty, it's buttery, it's hot. It could burn their mouth, their throat. If they get those metal prongs, because they grab the corn off the grill, you're going to spend the holidays at the emergency vet having emergency surgery. And I want to talk about chicken legs too.
And if you're not watching us, Arden actually has a chicken leg that she is showing us right now.
And there's a lot of little bones in it and splinter. I mean, the smell from the grill is a beckoning for a dog who wants to grab and run. And you chase them, and they bite harder and faster, and there could be splinters. So dogs at picnics and cookouts, they need to be on leashes and away from the grill.
And well supervised is the other part of that is the supervision. It's not a good day to sort of let your dog do what they want in the backyard. There's lots of present dangers, choking hazards, and you said at the top of this segment, they could bolt. Even if your dog has no history of doing that, they're going to think something is wrong, and instinct takes over. They are still animals at the end of the day.
Yeah, when you're faced with something, you're gonna freeze, you're gonna flee, you're gonna fidget, or you're gonna fight. Yep. And during the noisy time of the holidays, there's many dogs and cats that will flee to feel safe.
Just getting back to the food topic real quick, it's also a really good idea to ask your guests to please not feed the pets. Because, sometimes, sometimes people don't, they're not thinking. They might be having a couple of, beers or cocktails or whatever, not thinking. Maybe they don't have a pet and they don't know any better. So make sure your guests know, do not feed the animals.
Yeah, have some healthy treats for the pets, portion control, because can you imagine having a backyard cookout and every guest has sneaked a bunch of food off their plate to your dog? They're going to turn into a hairy ottoman, and obesity is not good. Salt is not good. Butter is not good. So what is good for us, or just something we enjoy for a holiday, may be downright dangerous for dogs. Pancreatitis is no fun.
Yeah. And the guests won't be there to pay the vet bill when you have to go to the emergency room.
That's true.
That is certainly true.
Oh, so Arden, I mentioned at the top in the intro that you've written 26 books. That is amazing.
Well, I have very strong typing fingers. And I used to be a newspaper reporter for 20 years. But what I like is giving out good information in a fun way and have it with good documentation. So got a lot of veterinarians and animal behaviorists that are my go-to people. I mean, my latest 2 books are the Dog Behavior Answer book and A Kid's Guide to Dogs.
Oh.
And Kona's in the book. Kona's very helpful in this book.
Awesome.
And so knowledge is power. And I hope people would like to get their paws on those books.
Yeah, A Kid's Guide to Dogs is awesome. It's challenging to teach children the proper way to interact with an animal. I mean, you see all those videos of kids trying to pet dogs like this because they don't have the fine motor. Exactly. Yeah. So that's a great little resource there for parents.
Well, thanks, Chris. We teach kids the doggy ABCs: ask permission, be sniffed, and carefully pet the back.
That's great.
Yeah, you just made the point I was going to make, Arden. I mean, as much fun as you are to listen to, you're just as fun to read. I have read some of your books, and you just have such a masterful way of educating people in a really fun way, in a way that kids can remember, adults can remember. So I just wanted to give you, paws up for that.
Yeah.
Where can we find your books?
Believe it or not, Amazon.
Amazon.
And, it's on in print, and also go to ardenmoore.com. That's my real born given name, and check out my pet first aid classes, Pet First Aid for You, because we make learning pet first aid fun. I even tell dad jokes in class.
Well, I'm signing up right now. I'm on the website. Dad jokes and some pet CPR. You could count me in.
I think. Oh, sorry, Chris. Keep going.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think we should have Arden back one of these days to talk about pet CPR.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great skill to have. It's one you never want to use, but you always want to keep in your back pocket. And there's a lot of...
You're with Kona and the cat, Casey, so you get to take a class with a real dog and a real cat.
That's great.
That makes it even better.
That does make it even better. And, there's probably a lot of folks listening who may not even have pets yet. There's plenty of people who listen to this show that are just considering getting an animal. And that's sort of the what Pets Add Life brings to the table, is helping make that process as simple as possible. And knowledge is a big part of that, especially as somebody with anxiety who struggles to make big decisions. Having that kind of information and knowing and feeling comfortable, like, yes, this is a responsibility I'm ready to take on now, could be a great resource for people. So if you're out there listening to the show, you're not really sure if you're ready to get a pet yet, why don't you read through some of Arden's books? You might learn a bit and feel really confident about taking the leap.
Well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'm a better human because of the cats and dogs in my life. And Casey, my cat, and Kona, my dog, are both therapy pets, and we give back in the community. But you should see them. They rock it in a pet first aid class.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Arden and Casey and Kona and Emma. And we wish you a very happy, healthy, pawsome 4th of July.
Thank you both, Chris and Kristen. I appreciate being on your show.
Anytime.
Pets Add Life.
Oh, she is so much fun. I always love interviewing Arden Moore.
Absolutely. We're kind of joking about how it's very rare for us to get a true bona fide pet expert who's also funny and entertaining. Usually you kind of have to trade one or the other, but she really knows her stuff and it presents it in a super digestible way.
And not only that, she has pets that participate in the interviews.
Yes.
It's amazing. She's the full package.
Yeah, if you're listening to us right now, definitely check out the YouTube part of this episode so that you can see Kona and Emma and Casey, the safety cat. They are so adorable and so well behaved, literal poster children. So be sure to check out the video for this episode. Our next guest joining us today is Lorien Clemens, the co-founder and CEO of PetHub, a company committed to preventing lost pets and reuniting them with their families. Obviously, July is Lost Pet Prevention Month. It goes hand in hand. We've been talking so much about 4th of July and the danger it presents to losing your pet. So Lorien's going to come on and discuss some strategies for the 4th of July, how to keep your pet safe and protected. So let's go ahead and jump right into that interview.
Welcome, Lorien from PetHub.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Chris, Lorien and I go way back.
Oh, that's great. I feel like you kind of go way back with a lot of our guests, and I'm over here in la-di-da-di land like, oh, it's such a pleasure to meet you for the first time. And meanwhile, we're just interviewing all of Kristen's friends. But Lorien, it's a pleasure to have you on. Perfect timing too. This episode is kind of dedicated to animal safety around the 4th of July holiday, and July is Lost Pet Prevention Month. So I think it's a perfect time to have you on the show.
Yes, it is. It is. So thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I don't know how much you've informed your audiences so far, but Lost Pet Prevention Month is very close to my heart.
And, because you started it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funniest story is that it was supposed to be a week. It was something that I had been saying, we need to have a conversation beyond microchips. There's got to be a conversation beyond microchips because it's more than that. And it's more about prevention than, let's not worry about after they're lost. Let's keep them from getting lost in the first place kind of a thing. And so I talked to a couple of people. I think I even talked to you, Kristen, about it. And I was like, I think I'm going to do this week. And she's like, do it. And everybody's like, do it. Let's do it. So I threw out to a bunch of my friends, basically, that are in the industry. And I said, hey, let's do this thing. Seat of my pants, a couple months before, let's figure this out. Let's make it happen. And then the very first blog that came out the morning, and it actually, the email that went out while I was sleeping. And it went out, and it was from Amy at Go Pet Friendly. And she said, welcome to Lost Pet Prevention Month. And all of my friends who had said, it's too soon for me to get something up and have it, for the first week of July. And they were writing me back saying, oh, I have a whole month. Great. Yeah, I'm going to do this and this. And so all of a sudden, overnight, we became Lost Pet Prevention Month. And I think it's good because it's a very deep, in-depth conversation. And it really allows us to talk about the breadth of not just lost pet prevention, but also recovery and all the different aspects that go into it.
Well, sounds like a happy little accident to me.
Yes.
You mentioned right at the top there, going beyond the microchip. We have to take this conversation beyond the microchip. So some of our listeners out there might be thinking that the microchip is the only available option, that's really their only choice when it comes. Or the best option. So what other avenues can folks take to ensure that their pets are safe?
Yeah. And I want to start by saying, the microchip is your ultimate safety net. But if you think about, what that means to be a safety net, it's that last thing that can catch the animal from going into a shelter system and getting lost or worse, And so when we look at lost pet prevention and identification in particular, we want to look at it like a stool. You would never sit on a one-legged stool. Very few of us can drive a unicycle, kind of a thing. Or very few of us feel stable on a pogo stick. You know what I mean? So one-legged things tend to be not the best for your safety and welfare in the long run. And so you want to think of it as, I need to have 3 legs. And ultimately, you're going to always have that microchip because, as I said, it's the safety net that we hope will always come through. And if we have time, we could talk about ways that it can falter. But then you want to have a solid really reliable external identification that doesn't rely on batteries. It doesn't rely on an app. It doesn't rely on other people having the same app as you. So like, although Apple tags and all those, great Bluetooth things are good, they rely on other people having the same app on at the time that your dog is lost, kind of a thing. So anything that is relying on that doesn't mean that it can't be technology based. So back in 2009, my husband and the founder of PetHub invented the pet QR ID tag, filed the first patent, said, let's see if we can make this happen. We kind of floundered, as Kristen knows, for a while because QR codes are, what's a QR code? What is that little black and white squiggly thing? Like, what do I do with that? And believe it or not, when we first started, people were like, well, what if everybody doesn't get a smartphone? Come on now. Now, this is just a fad.
Goodness.
I mean, we were literally told that it's just a fad. Less than 40% of people even have those. Well, and Tom and I were like, no. This is going to catch on, trust me. And so then COVID happened, which I hate to say, like, one of the bright spots of COVID, frankly, has been this mass acceptance of technologies like the QR code, like NFC, that kind of thing. So the digital ID tag that has a QR code, hopefully a QR code, because it is frankly the most stable of all of them. NFC is great, but you have to have your NFC on. You have to know how to do NFC. NFC can be kind of cranky when it's got a case on. QR code can be scanned by anybody's phone. Any phone made in the last 4 years automatically recognizes that QR code when you put the camera at it. And it links to an online profile. And depending on which, product you're using, it may be a profile that goes just to, a button that then you have to fill out a form. It might be something that shows all the phone numbers. It might, there's a lot of different flavors out there for digital ID tags. If there's a PetHub ID tag, which is my company, the pet parent has full control of what's showing and what's not showing. So if you're worried about, the creepy guy at the dog park being able to scan your dog's tag and seeing all your information, you can hide it. But if your dog's lost and you're like, here's my social security number, here's the code to get into my house, whatever, just leave the dog, kind of thing, then you can show everything you want. And so, and that our tag also, I believe we're one of the only, if not the only one that has a free 24/7 call center where we have human beings that can actually help that pet get home once it's scanned. So that digital ID tag, it puts you in control of your pet getting home. You can have as many phone numbers as you want. You can put your pet sitter, you can put your spouse, you can put your mom, your dad, your neighbors, you name it. We even have on PetHub, we have a thing called safe spots, which are places that your dog could be taken, maybe if you're not able to get to them right away. So we have like dog stores, our local pet store. We have our veterinarian. We have, other businesses where we know the dog could be taken to if we're not able to get to them in time. So digital ID tags just open up a lot of opportunity for you. So I would, that needs to be your second leg, period. I mean, it needs to be a digital ID tag. I hope it's PetHub, but if it's, there's other options that are out there.
You are the original QR code, you have continued to evolve and better the platform and the technology all along the way. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to say that I think probably our proudest thing is over the years since we started measuring in 2012 how fast we were getting pets home is how fast we get pets home. So 96% of PetHub recovered pets are home in 24 hours or less.
That's amazing. Wow.
And I have a question, Lorien. Do you have any recent statistics on how many pets that enter the shelter as just owner unknown, how many of those pets don't have any form of identification, including a microchip? Do you have any stats on that?
Well, we have some stats, and nothing. Of course, one of the issues that we're having in animal welfare right now, and although Shelter Animals Count and Best Friends are doing an amazing job, it's really trying to hone together, and they work alongside of folks like 24 Pet and to bring together this information. So we're getting better data, but we still don't have really concise data of everything nationally. It's hard to say. And it really, again, it runs the gamut. What's the culture? So like if you live in a culture where in your city, there's a big healthy community identification tag program where no naked pets, it's a hashtag no naked pets. It's what we really preach all the time. That's really prevalent in your community. then probably more dogs are coming into shelters with identification, or are being when they're having that interaction with animal welfare organizations, either through an animal control officer or that kind of thing. They probably do have an identification unless it's come off for some reason. But then you go into rural areas, or you go into areas that are super urban where people just don't put a collar on their dog because, they use a pee pad in the apartment and they don't really go outside. And so when they do get outside, they're naked, and terrified, naked and afraid, like right there. And, so that it's going to really run the gamut. And that's what we find when we do our statistics. We actually did a study in 2022, and then we analyzed the data in 2023 with the National Animal Care and Control. And what we found was, and we ended up focusing mostly on dogs, even though we asked dogs and cats. It was over 4,000 pet parents took the survey. But, it was overwhelming. There was over 15, I think it was around 1,500 people had lost a dog, but a much smaller set had lost a cat. So the data is not as great for the cats. But 98% of the dogs that were found in 24 hours or less had a collar with visible identification on them. And 36% of dogs were actually found in 24 hours or less. And the number 2 way that they got home after their pet parent physically getting out and searching and yelling for them, right? Which was the number 1 way. So get off the couch immediately if your pet's lost. But the number two way is digital ID tags.
Yeah.
And that was like, for us, we didn't know that was going to be the data. We're like, wow, that's awesome. And the number 5 way overall was ID tags in general, just standard, what we call dumb tags, lovingly call them dumb tags, that don't have any technology for them, but just have that static piece of one information, like your phone number on it.
Yeah. Technology challenged tags for sure.
Technology.
Yes. And I mean, I was saying before, those classic metallic aluminum based tags, they wear out. And it might look great when you buy it at first for your dog when it's a puppy, but by the time, 4 or 5 years later, it becomes very difficult to read. So it's not very reliable. 4 or 5 years
is being generous, Chris.
I'm always generous. So I'm just known as a generous guy.
Yeah. So planned obsolescence is part of the business model of those ID tag machines in the big stores. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yep.
They don't make their money unless you need to buy a tag every 18 months or so.
Yep.
When you scan it every 3 months, it also reminds you to update any of the information that may have changed since the last time you entered it.
Let's talk about that, entering information. I mean, that is one of the biggest reasons that microchips fail, is because they do not have updated information. And depending on, which statistic you're looking at, and the one I'm going to use right now is actually from the microchip industry, as much as 52% of those microchips are not activated. If you talk to some shelters, they'll tell you the numbers are even higher. When they scan that microchip, it's an old phone number. It's a disconnected phone number. It's a different, it's like, oh my God, that was a dog I had a long time ago. I took him back to the shelter. Or, or worse, the stories that we all love to hear, and I hate to hear, dog reunited after 7 years.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And so that microchip failed all those times. And most often is because it did not have updated information on it. It's out of sight, out of mind. I would like put down money at a table and say like, I'll give you each $5 if you can tell me exactly where your microchip is from. And you give me $5 if you don't. I come out ahead. I guarantee it.
Every time.
I'm sure.
The majority of pet parents have no idea what microchip their dog has. It was whatever the shelter, whatever the rescue put in it, whatever the breeder put in it, whatever the vet put in it. I don't know. They activated it for me. I've never even been on the website for it. So there's this, learned helplessness and stuff that comes along with microchips. As opposed to a digital ID tag, putting it on the collar, you're reminded every single day, my dog is connected to that service. And it is a reminder. And I'd like to give one little bit of advice right now. Right now, go find the paperwork for your pet's microchip. If you have a PetHub ID tag, put your PetHub ID tag number in here too. Go enter your pet as a contact in your phone right now. Put their microchip number, put their rabies tag number, put their PetHub ID number or whatever digital ID tag number you have. If they're licensed, put their license number and put the name of the shelter that they would go to if they were found in your neighborhood. Put that all in your phone right now. Because if they do get lost, then you can hop on the phone and hop on the computer or on your phone while you're walking around yelling for them, and be updating those things if you haven't updated them recently.
That is great advice, Lorien. That is fantastic advice. And I challenge you all listening to do that right now. Lorien, I know PetHub works with communities, municipalities all over the U.S. If you're listening and you want to get a PetHub tag, but you don't know if you're in a PetHub community, what would you advise?
The easiest way, if you don't know if you're in a PetHub community, I would say look up your local shelter and whatever like that and see if they do look on their website, because they usually will tell you. But the easiest way to get one is just to go to pethub.com. Up at the top, it says shop, click that. We actually just opened up after being begged by our customers to please bring back the fun tags. We used to have a lot of really fun, sassy tags. We had over 200 designs. And we set that aside because we really wanted to focus on these community ID tag programs, and we needed to put all of our efforts there. And we only had one ID tag design available to, people that don't have a community ID tag program. And they were like, please do that. So we put out 6, and the response has been overwhelming. And so now we're going to bring back a couple more. And I got to admit,
amazing.
They're super sassy. Yeah.
Lorien, we're coming up on time here. Thank you so much for joining us. These are amazing tips. I learned so much in our brief time together. So everybody listening at home, 4th of July is right around the corner. Make sure you've taken Lorien's advice to heart to keep your loving pet nice and safe this holiday. And thanks again for all of the wonderful advice, Lorien.
Thank you so much. And everybody, Lorien, please keep those pets safe. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, that was great hearing from Lorien and all those different concepts. I think the way she presented having the microchip as your last safety net, I think a lot of people see it as their first line of defense, but it's really the last thing you want to happen. It's there for when everything else fails. I think that's a really great piece of advice that people should take to heart.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of things have to happen for the microchip to even be discovered. So why not just get a digital ID tag for your pet and then get that third leg of the stool, whatever makes the most sense for where you live. So
Absolutely. Some really great stuff right in time for 4th of July too. So just keep your eyes on Fido and the cat, if you have a jumpy cat, an outdoor cat. And so that when we are back to reality on July 5th, everybody is safe and at home.
The product of the week.
Okay, Chris, it's time for your favorite part of the show, the product of the week.
You're getting there. One day it's going to be perfect. But go ahead and kick us off here, Kristen.
Okay, all right. So this is a really fun one. Okay, this is something that kept showing up in my social feeds, and I just had to do a little bit of investigation. They're dubbing it the emotional support duck for dogs.
Okay.
And so I dove into this and I fell for it. I found the website, and it's actually a company called The Mellow Dog. They make calming beds, they make enrichment products, and this duck has just taken off. It's the true name of it is called Calming Duck, and it fights boredom, makes your pet less lonely and happier. Okay, I guess so. It's machine washable, dryer safe, and it is just this adorable stuffed duck. And apparently, when they instead of squeaking, it makes a little ducky noise.
Oh my goodness!
So it's for dogs of all sizes, from Yorkies to Great Danes. It's chewable but not indestructible. So probably some of those tougher chewers might tear the little ducky apart. But it's just really cute, and I gotta tell you, it makes for a great Instagram post because it's so dang cute.
I just looked up a picture of it, and it is an adorable stuffed duck.
Isn't it?
I mean, picturesque. Yeah.
I think every dog on my holiday list is going to get an emotional support duck.
An emotional support duck. Well, they say the bird is the word, and today's word is duck.
Yeah. How about you? What do you have today?
Yeah, so I have a bit of a recommendation to go with what we just discussed with Lorien. Which is a very popular GPS-based smart collar for dogs. You might have heard it before. It's from a brand called Tractive. And they are a huge brand, really leading the way in this affordable, self-contained GPS technology. I looked at a bunch of different brands to try and find one that I could truly recommend, because at the end of the day, this is a safety product. If you're going to purchase a brand of safety products, you are putting your implicit trust in that brand. So I wanted to make sure I was recommending a good one. I don't know who out there still has a Consumer Reports subscription, but I do apparently. So this scored a 97 on Consumer Reports, which is, they do not hand out high scores like that. They find problems with products intentionally. I actually worked for Consumer Reports way back when I was a young warthog. And they test these products. They put them through the ringer to see when they fail, when they mess up, what's not great about them. And they found 0 negatives with the Tractive Pet GPS. They rate their tracking as excellent, the ease of setup as excellent, the ease of use as excellent, and the pricing as, quote, incredibly fair. So it's essentially a collar you put on your dog. It's got a little box on it, and it'll keep track of your dog, let you know exactly where it is. It comes with a mobile app. There is a subscription type fee. I think it comes out to like $13 a month, but there's all sorts of features where it will work. There's people saying in the comments that they live in like the woods in Sweden where there's no cell reception.
Oh, wow.
And this still works. They still get the GPS and things like that. So if you want a backup to a microchip, if you're not comfortable getting a microchip in your dog, if you just want something that's more accessible, because those microchips still have to be found by a vet and then scanned, right? So if you want something that is going to keep you up to date with the location of your pet. If you're somebody who lives with a lot of land and just sometimes Fido doesn't come home for dinner because they're out adventuring and you want that peace of mind, this is a piece of technology I'm very comfortable recommending. So that brand name once again is Tractive. If you look into it and it's something you don't like about it, there's a ton of other brands. But the moral of the story is have something in place where if your dog or a cat gets lost, you can find them easily. So this is just one of many solutions.
Q&As.
Okay, Kristen, it is time to answer some questions from our wonderful audience. And audience, dear listeners, if you want your question answered on the show, head on over to petsaddlife.org/podcast. Scroll on down to the bottom of the screen. You'll see a place to submit your question. Or if you're feeling like a brave little soldier, you can send us a voice memo. Record your question on your own device, send it on over, and you will hear your question played on this show.
And we haven't been stumped yet, Chris. We haven't been stumped on an answer yet.
Honestly, that's surprising. I'm known to be easily stumped. So go ahead and bust out your hardest questions. We're going to give it a true college try. But in the meantime, we have a question here from Mark. Mark is from Portland, Oregon, and asks, I love my dog, but the shedding hair is everywhere. I feel that, Mark. What are some effective ways to manage and reduce dog shedding around the house?
Okay, well, that's a really good one. So there are basically 2 different types of dog coats. There's a short coat, which is typically less than 2 inches in length on the hair, and it's usually smooth, or it could be coarse and wiry. And then there's the dogs that have the double coat, the undercoat that's usually shorter hair, and then a longer outer coat. And those types of dogs tend to shed seasonally. So we're kind of into summer now, but you're probably seeing the tail end. Get it? Tail end. The tail end of spring shedding. Here's a few suggestions for you, Mark. And you may have already tried some of these, but this is just my go-to advice. It would be, number 1, brushing every single day. So take the dog outside because you don't want to brush all that fur into the air in the house. Brush them every day. You might want to increase the frequency of bathing because bathing also can do a better job of loosening some of that undercoat when you're, scrubbing and, lathering up the pet shampoo. And then, of course, you could also go to a groomer, or I'm not going to advise you do this yourself, but maybe start with a groomer and just kind of ask for a cut or kind of trim, either a trim or what do you call it? I'm at a loss for words, Chris, on this. What do you call it when you the Furminator thing? The Furminator,
like a vacuum type situation.
Yeah.
It's like a light cut.
Right. But I want to say this too, because again, we always say we're not veterinarians. I'm not a professional groomer, but you definitely don't want to take too much of the coat out because your dog's coat protects them from the sun, from insects, from parasites, and from a lot of things. So that's why I say start with a groomer before you start cutting or trimming on your dog. But try the bathing. Yeah, extra bath and brushing every day, and hopefully that'll do the trick.
those are all great tips, Kristen, and I'll offer just a quick word of advice on what to do with all of the hair, because you're going to end up with enough hair. You're going to be like, I could build a second dog, which would be funny. So maybe a fur sculpture and build yourself a second dog. But I have found that if you put some of the dog shedding in your garden, it will prevent some of the like hares and moles and deer from coming, because they're going to get a whiff of a natural predator.
I love that idea.
It's a good use of those clippings if you have a garden at home and have some pests that are ruining your hard work. So I've got nothing further to add to the shedding discussion because you nailed it all. But
that was pretty good, though.
Little something for you to do with that hair.
Little bonus tip. So this next one is from Rachel. She's from Austin, Texas, and she says, I recently adopted a dog, but my cat and the new dog don't get along. What steps can I take to help them coexist peacefully?
This is such a great question, and there's a reason why the old cliche of cats and dogs not getting along exists, because in most cases, the best you're going to get is some tolerance between the two. But in some cases, you can actually have them form a bond. So in this situation, it seems like the cat is going to be is probably older and been in the home for much longer and feels as though their home has been impeded on. There's some things you can do to help socialize these animals together. The first is to make sure food time is not competitive. I would actually recommend feeding these animals in entirely different rooms so that both animals know they get their food, because that is often the instinctual impetus that makes the animals not like each other. Even though your cat could be the most well-fed, kind of chubby cat in the world, its instinct is going to be, there's another animal here, they're going to take my food. And that's false, obviously. We're all taking good care of our pets. But make sure that they are getting into a routine where they know they are getting fed at a regular time, on their own, without the threat of somebody coming and taking their food. And then the second is just some supervised visitation. Then get them in the same room. Make sure that typically a younger dog is going to be really energetic and an older cat is going to be like, please get away from me. But you will find that the animosity is going to start to turn into a little bit of endearment. And I found that younger dogs can help bring the kitten out of the cat. You might actually see your cat take more of an interest in play, in which case make sure your cat has their own set of toys. Make sure you're stimulating the cat alone at points. The cat is going to desire some attention outside of the dog. So those are just like a couple of little tips on, it's going to take time no matter what. It's going to take a lot of care. It's going to take a lot of equity from you as an animal owner, but you'll get there with enough time.
Yeah, that's great advice. I would just add one last thing, and that is, to set up some boundaries and don't force them to be together. Let them decide when they want to be together. And like Chris said, make sure you are supervising those early interactions. And
yes, mostly for the dog safety. The cat will be fine, but right. I once, to add a little personal anecdote into this, we had growing up a big old Maine Coon, like a 20-pound Maine Coon cat, who was an outdoor cat. And one day he was sitting out on the rock wall, and the neighbor's lab got out of the electric fence, just managed to power through it and came into our yard. And obviously the cat had met this dog before, but never really unsupervised in the same exact area together. And the dog came up and our cat just walloped it across the face and really scratched the dog badly. So supervision is important, because the cat didn't act like that when people were around. The cat didn't see an avenue for safety otherwise, so it chose to defend itself. So supervision is important.
It is. And on a final note, and then we'll be done with this question, because we keep talking about it. But it is a good question. But I will say that currently we only have a dog, but for the past 20 years, we've had dogs and cats together. And I have to say that the cats have never been crazy about the dogs, but they've always managed to learn to coexist. And I've caught them on a few occasions snuggling up together. Yeah. So there's hope for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mark and Rachel, for your questions. Remember, if you have a question for the two pals, go ahead and submit them at petsaddlife.org.
Well, Chris, I think that's a wrap for our pre-July 4th show.
That's
it. We
it.
had a great show. We had some great advice on safety for the holiday. And I think we're all set to have a safe, fun holiday.
Yeah, I learned a lot, which means it's a great day. This was definitely a meaty episode. I hope you all were taking notes, but I hope you weren't taking notes while you were listening during your morning commute, because you should have two hands on the wheel and no hands on your notes. But if you're listening to this at another time, I hope you wrote down some of those tips. Thank you for our expert guests for sharing that stuff. And I think, we're all ready for a happy and safe 4th of July. Everybody enjoy that. Enjoy the massive celebration of our nation's independence. Enjoy the barbecues. Enjoy the time with your friends and family. Enjoy all of those delicious and salty meats, but not too much. Maybe a couple of cocktails. And we're going to see you back here in 1 week's time to discuss how it went. So until then, enjoy the happy holidays, and we'll talk to you soon.
Pets Add Life.